These men went to the forbidden area of the Grand Canyon and saw something that should not exist. Just a few days ago, a group of explorers were taking one of their new drones for a test flight across the Grand Canyon. Everything went well, but as the drone got deeper into the canyon, they saw an enormous structure appear in the distance, which was nothing like ever seen before. This is when they had realized that they were flying over the restricted area of the Grand Canyon, and just moments later, their drone got shut down by a military personnel. This got them curious, and the group wanted to find out what that structure was, so they waited until nighttime and set out. They carefully jumped over the restricted fence, and after an hour of walking, they began seeing the building in the distance. As they got closer, the explorers realized that it wasn't an ordinary structure but an ancient one that was carved into the mountains of the canyon. There were massive statues around it, and that's when they began hearing strange sounds coming from inside. The team made their way in, and this is when they saw the Impossible Dinosaurs. That's right. There was a huge forest inside the mountain, and many dinosaurs roamed the forest. They could not believe their eyes. Just seconds later, a velociraptor had began sprinting at them, but luckily, there was a powerful fence blocking the dinosaurs. The team then heard vehicles approaching outside, so they made their way out of the forbidden zone after taking some pictures of the dinosaurs. If you want to see them, comment, view images.
This gorilla grabs a woman in the forest, and what happens next will shock you. When Alice traveled to Africa, she found herself in an unexpected situation. As she was walking through the bushes, Alice spotted a dark spot between the trees. As she got closer, it became evident that a huge, angry gorilla was upset that someone had entered his territory. He showed his teeth and began to approach her. Alice instinctively started to run, but she soon felt a sharp pain in her leg, causing her to fall to the ground. In an attempt to divert the gorilla's attention, she closed her eyes and controlled her breathing. As it moved behind her, she could hear the gorilla's low growl. His massive claws lightly touched her arm and leg, causing Alice to let out a faint whimper from the intense pain. The gorilla then grabbed her, lifted her onto his shoulder. Alice didn't have the courage to open her eyes. After a while, the gorilla stopped running and violently threw her to the ground. The sudden pain made her open her eyes, and she witnessed something incredible. The gorilla slowly approached her, tore off her shirt, and she realized things were going to get even worse. Follow me and comment gorilla to find out what happened next.
Wife of a fallen soldier visits his grave, but then feels a tap on her shoulder, and what happened will make you cry. The heartbreaking story from 2005 is about Catherine from Washington, who was married to Rodney, a military serviceman at the time. They had a wonderful daughter together, were living their dream life, and everything was going great. However, one night while the family was watching TV, they received an unexpected call from the military, summoning Rodney for service in Afghanistan. Despite initial hesitation, Rodney left that night, leaving Catherine and their daughter to wait anxiously for his return. All Catherine and her daughter could do once again was wait and pray for her husband to return home, as he always had in the past. Unfortunately, this time was different. Just 4 days later, an officer informed Catherine of Rodney's unexpected fall in an ambush. Catherine and her daughter's world shattered into pieces. To make matters worse, she later learned that his body could not be recovered, and they had to hold a funeral without being able to see him one last time. Catherine thought she could never get over her husband's death. However, one day she visited his grave, spoke to him, and expressed how much she missed him. Suddenly, someone tapped on her shoulder. She turned around, and what happened next will absolutely shock you. Comment soldier for part 2. She gives birth to triplets. A year later, the doctor calls her to announce news that shocked the entire world. Jessica is a single mother of beautiful 1-year-old triplets. Leo, Tom, and Simon. The brief relationship she had with the father of the children did not last. He left immediately upon learning that Jessica was pregnant. Despite this, she was determined to keep her children, even if it meant giving birth alone and raising them on her own. For the past year, the single mom has been managing perfectly with her 3 babies. She takes care of them and works at the same time. In short, everything is going wonderfully. The day after the triplets' birthday, Jessica receives a call from the doctor who followed her throughout her pregnancy. She did not understand what was happening, but the doctor was clear he had something very important to announce to Jessica about her children. Jessica panicked, so she took to the road and dropped Leo, Tom, and Simon off at her mother's house. Then she went directly to the hospital to find out what her doctor had to say about her sons, what he was going to announce. Shock the entire world. Press the "and" comment. Triple if you want. Part 2.
This woman slept every night with her dog. But months later, she made a discovery that would shock the entire world. Fia was a kind person who adored animals. One day, she decided to adopt a young German Shepherd puppy that had been abandoned a few months earlier. He was so cute and desperately seeking a family. Sophia immediately fell in love with him and decided to bring him home the same day. The whole family was overjoyed to see this adorable dog arrive. But the first night, Sophia noticed strange behavior from her dog. He did everything to lie next to her in bed, as if he was afraid to sleep in his little basket. For hygiene reasons, she decided to make him get off the bed for the first time. But seeing that he kept coming back, she gave in and decided to let her beloved little dog sleep next to her. After a few weeks, Sophia began to feel ill. She was suffering from a serious illness. She had no strength and felt very weak. And she also noticed that her dog was very sick too. He only slept and could barely walk. Worried, she decided to go to her veterinarian. And what she discovered there shocked the entire world and left them speechless. Press the plus and comment German Shepherd for part 2.
Grandmother has marks on her body every day. What her family is about to discover is totally horrifying. Mina is 93 years old. She's been a widow for 3 years. For the past few days, Mina's whole family had been thinking she was strange. The old woman was losing her mind. Her family made an appointment with the doctor to find out what was going on. A few hours later, the verdict was in. Mina had dementia. Her family had no choice but to put her in a nursing home where she would be monitored daily by the medical staff. The first few days went very well. Mina adapted quite well to her new lifestyle. Her family visited her every day to keep her company. After a week, the little girls noticed marks on their grandmother's face. They turned to the medical staff to find out what had happened. According to them, Mina had fallen out of her wheelchair the day before. Days went by, and every day the grandmother showed new marks on her body and face. Each time, the medical staff came up with ready-made excuses. The family had had enough, so they decided to put a discreet camera in Mina's room to find out what was really going on. What they discovered when they viewed the images will shock you. If you want to know what happened, follow me and comment part 2.